This is Corey Franklin reporting from Chicago on people who have died recently who have contributed to history or society. And tonight I'm going to talk about something that has been forgotten pretty much from our history books, unfortunately. Some of our kids may still be studying it, but it really doesn't get much attention anymore, and that's the Great War, the war to end all wars, World War I. As we lose veterans from past wars, we lose the memory of what it was like. In Europe and in England, in virtually every town and city, you'll see memorials in Times Squares to all the veterans who died during the Great War. Not so much in the United States. In some cities, you will see a memorial to the veterans who died there. We didn't have as many people die in World War I as World War II or the Civil War. You will see them occasionally, but certainly nothing like you do in Europe or England, and that's why tonight's subject is so important to us. We'll begin with one of the famous songs in American history, The Call to Soldiers to Enter World War I, Over There, by George M. Cohan.
Get your gun, get your gun. Take it on the run, on the run, on the run. Hear them calling you and me, every son of liberty. Hurry right away, no delay, go today. Make your daddy glad to have had such a lad. Tell your sweetheart not to mind, to be proud her boys in line. Over there, send the word over there, that the Yanks are coming, the drums coming everywhere, so prepare, say a prayer, send the word to beware, we'll be over, we're coming over, and we won't come back till it's over there.
With that as our lead-in, our subject tonight is Corporal Frank Buckles. Frank Buckles died at 110 recently, and he was the last remaining soldier from America to fight in World War I. Technically, he didn't fight, he drove an ambulance, but he is the last vestige, the last link we have between our country today and the war to end all wars that ended in 1918. When the United States entered World War I in the late summer of 1917, Private Buckles tried to enlist with the Marines and with the Navy. Unfortunately, he was too young and underweight, but he was taken by the Army. Ironically, he was brought over to Europe in the ship the Carpathia. And the Carpathia is famous because that is the rescue ship for the Titanic. That's the ship that rescued the survivors from the Titanic. When Corporal Buckles made it over to England on the Carpathia, he was then sent over to France, where he drove troop transports and ambulances for the rest of the war. He learned to drive as a farm boy on his farm, and here he tells the story of how he got to France.
I was told, on the whole, to get to France. The regular army sergeant said, if you want to get into France in a hurry, you go into the ambulance corps.
He had a lot of great stories, including stories of talking to British veterans who told stories in turn of ceremonies involving their elders who had fought in the Crimean War. So he was privy to memories of people who had memories of fighting before 1860, even before the Civil War. He also recalled shortly after the war meeting General Blackjack Pershing, who was the commander of all American troops during World War I. American troops were called doughboys, and Corporal Buckles was the last doughboy of the war. At the end of the war, he was responsible for escorting German prisoners back to Germany, and then ironically he went to work for the White Star Shipping Line in Toronto. The White Star Shipping Line was the line that owned the Titanic. At the outbreak of World War II, he was on business in Manila, and he was caught there when the Japanese invaded, and so he was in a Japanese prison camp for 3 years during World War II. When our next to last soldier of World War I died, Mr. Buckles was treated ceremoniously by the government. Here is Defense Secretary Gates introducing him at a military function 3 years ago.
We recognize a group of Americans who served in the Great War and lived to tell of it for the better part of a century. We honor these heroes, and we want to hear their stories. One of them, I am delighted to say, is here with us. Frank Woodruff Buckles, age 107, is one of the last American veterans of the war.
As the years went along, and the decreasing numbers of veterans, I found that I was among those who had served, the last ones who had served. And it is an honor to be here to represent the veterans of World War I. Thank you.
In 2008, he met President George Bush.
Thank you very much for your patriotism and your love for America.
To the end of his life, Corporal Buckles fought for a national memorial in Washington to honor World War I veterans.
I hope you'll have something nice.
Corporal Buckles, our national memory is short, our historical amnesia is long, and I hope your efforts come to fruition one day. And we do get a memorial to the war to end all wars. With that, I'm going to close. I want to thank you all for listening, and I want to thank my producer, Sid Tepps. I'll be talking to you again next week. In closing tonight, I do want to pay tribute to Corporal Buckles and his service to his country in the First World War as the last survivor of the Allied Expeditionary Force. And I'm going to do that by signing off with another one of the great songs from World War I. It's being sung here by the greatest Irish tenor of the first half of the 20th century, John McCormick. Corporal Buckles, thank you for your service. We will not forget you.
There's a long, long trail of winding into the land of my dreams, where the nightingales are singing and the white moon beams. There's a long, long night of waiting until my dreams all come true, till the day when I